Hey, you are watching Have Asian Tarot Queen. Oh my god. So I just did the split and we got Justice and the Devil. So we're having justice for some sort of insanely toxic situation. And that's kind of a message that's been like circling around for a while. And obviously there's this war that's happening right now. Let's see. Okay, so when I pulled this down, we got Knight of Cups and we got the Five of Cups. So it's sort of like, I don't know, this seems like a peace offering, you know, and like not crying over spilled milk, but focusing. I mean, we need to focus on the positive and just move forward, because at this point, like, we don't need to just keep like belaboring the loss, you know. When I pulled down the Justice card, we got a solid new foundation, and sort of like pruning the garden, so that, and putting the burden down so that we can move forward in like a more effective, more functional way. So, okay, I'm gonna go to the Priestess of Light. Wow. Okay. Okay. So at the bottom we have River of Blessings. So this just came out in a reading that I just did. Releasing constraints. So obviously someone is getting liberated from some sort of situation that's really been holding them back. And this is like opening up a river of blessings. So, I mean, part of like what's going to bring this about is calming the waters, peaceful self-regulation. So it's just sort of like, you really don't want to get sucked into this energy, because it's kind of just like a black hole. Like, I mean, part of what's going to liberate a person from this is this sort of peaceful self-regulation of just like not engaging and being very intentional about not giving up your energy to toxic stuff, you know, and like just harnessing and sort of taking mastery of your own emotions and using them to manifest your desired outcome, so that you can like move forward from whatever the conflict is. And then, you know, if someone wants to stay lost in this morass, then that's where they'll stay. But like, it's important for you to like not spend energy on that and just keep pressing ahead, because eventually effort plus intention leads to achievement. And this is like, it's almost like that. There's this white buffalo calf woman. Is kind of what I'm getting from this. And she was like this very empowered feminine archetype. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, don't cry over spilled milk. Like, focus on the positive and keep moving forward, because that's ultimately what's going to liberate you from whatever the toxicity is. And it's frustrating oftentimes because it takes a long time, you know, sometimes to like break free. And especially when someone's like so toxic and they keep just like deliberately placing obstacles in your path, you know, and you're just like, why do I have to do this? Like, it's very frustrating. But you know, at the end of the day, it's just sort of like, that's the karma that they're building for themselves. Like, it takes a while for it to sort of develop, but like, it becomes clear over time, you know. So, okay, so we have standstill at the bottom, which is a card of sort of like allowing. It's like, and we have the Rainmaker. So this is a card of manifestation and being in alignment with the universe and then being in alignment with the truth, and like sort of like when you're in alignment, it's like you don't need to force an outcome. Like you're just going to be in an alignment with the universe, and so it's just more of a thing of working on your own inner obstacles and allowing things to unfold as they're meant to. And that's sort of like how you build solid foundations that are going to be sustainable and that are going to, you know, lead to sustainable outcomes, you know. So yeah, it's like there's not really like a instant gratification resolution to like liberating yourself from toxic situations. Like it's often like this long, arduous path through nonsense and drudgery. But like this looks like someone's kind of gone on that quest and they've sort of like reached the other side of it, which, you know, I mean, the thing is after going through all of that, it can be like the vindication is like pretty sweet, you know. I mean, there's like this whole thing with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation, and like that situation has been super toxic for like years, you know. And so like I'm sure it's feeling pretty good to sort of get his reputation back now, you know, after all of that. And it was toxic. I mean, the poop thing. Okay, so we have the Ten of Wands, which is, I mean, that's the second time that's showed up. Of like putting down a burden. And again, this is the Mystic. So this is a card. Actually, this is like the Hierophant in this card. So it's sort of like they're sort of like laying down the law on this toxic situation, because this is the devil, and it's called reclamation here because it's all about the thing about toxicity is like when you are not in alignment with the truth, it's like you kind of disown parts of yourself that are the truth, because it's like you don't want to see those things or be challenged by them. And so this causes a distortion in your perception because you can no longer see them and they're not attached to you. So like, for example, like a really good example is the example of Russia and how they justified this war by saying that they're liberating Ukraine from neo-Nazis, and which is like, and the president of Ukraine is like Jewish. I mean, the whole thing is like ridiculous, but it like really so demonstrates how that happens, you know, because Vladimir Putin has been living in this like ivory castle where like everybody just says yes to him, and so he no longer actually is ever confronted with anything that he does wrong, or when he might not be in alignment with the truth, or, you know, and this has caused him to like live in a bubble. So he has disowned so much of himself that he's like he's not living in reality anymore. So reclamation is about reintegrating these lost parts of yourselves, and that's how like you heal. So anyways, this kind of just looks like the moment of sort of like, I mean, this is basically like the Hierophant and the devil. It's like good versus evil, and like we're doing an assessment, you know, and we're figuring out, you know, what the true reality is, you know. So then we have the Two of Cups, which, you know, this is kind of like, in this card, it's, I mean, this deck is really interesting because it has those Libra scales. So it's almost like this, it's like love coming into balance. And we have the Sun, which is like happiness, abundance, fulfillment, like everything, you know. So it's like, here comes the Sun, like that's that's what I was kind of getting from that. Like, you know, after all this, we're finally accepting what is, accepting the truth, and like, you know, not everyone's going to be in alignment with that. I mean, this fell out right when I said that, 5 of Cups, you know, like, but it's like important. And the 5 of Cups and then the 9 of Wands just fell out. So it's just sort of like, everyone's just tired. Like, we just want to move forward based on reality, you know, like, stop focusing on the loss and just like focus on what's left so that we can start moving forward again and like building on things that are actually real, you know. It's like, if you can come into alignment with that, then the world is your oyster. We have the 10 of Pentacles, which is like total abundance and stability and generational wealth, you know. But you have to build on a foundation that's like solid, you know. So yeah, we have the Lovers, so reintegration of these lost, disowned parts, and it's going to lead to accolades and recognition and victory. But at the bottom of the deck, we have heartbreak. So yeah, it's like victory for the folks that are in alignment with the truth, but it's going to be heartbreak for Vladimir Putin, you know, because ultimately he's going to have to accept reality for what it is. Like, in order to move forward, like, everyone's just going to have to come to reality as it is so that everyone can move forward, you know, because like the time of sort of like enabling other people's delusions, like the bubble is pop. There's a reading called The Princess Bubble Has Popped or something like that. But that's kind of what this is. It's like, you have to confront the reality on the ground as it actually is so that we can move forward and sort of like, you know, make an assessment about that and accept the loss and move on. And that's kind of where it's like where the rubber hits the road. Like, that's kind of where this is. Okay, so I'm going to the Queen of the Moon Oracle. There's a big solar eclipse coming up this week, so there should be some powerful energies from that. But we have power, which is, I love how this is a feminine energy, because I'm gonna, there's been some divine feminine like readings, and I'm gonna point to the one about the divine feminine taking a walk in the strong man era crumbling. But yeah, this divine feminine energy is coming into power. A new path is emerging. We're finally seeing a path out of the darkness and growth. We're seeing a path to growth. So yay, time to move forward. Yeah, after a long period of being sort of like held back by, I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than being held back by somebody else's delusions and toxicity. I mean, but it really tests you to come into your own balance, you know, and not be sort of derailed by rage, you know, when that happens. And so, like, that's the whole challenge, because it can be like an extremely frustrating situation to deal with. But the emotional empowerment that comes from that can lead to great things. So good luck, and check in soon with more messages.